Now, the German cabinet has introduced a new draft bill of measures aimed at making it easier for authorities to repatriate certain irregular migrants. The draft seeks to make it easier and faster to deport people who are still in the country despite not having the legal right to stay, for example, because their asylum request was rejected. But some members of the governing coalition, along with migrant and refugee advocacy groups, have criticised the measures, saying they go too far. Earlier, I asked DW's Benjamin Alvarez-Gruber if the German government's plans represent a shift in thinking on migration.
That's right, they want to get tougher, and that's what this proposal that was now sent through the Chancellery, what I met today, is to get those who do not have the right to stay in Germany to leave the country. That's what Interior Minister Nancy Faeser has repeatedly said. She wants a regulation that helps to enforce the law more consistently and more quickly, because as the number of refugees crossing into Germany without a permission is expected to exceed the record reached in 2016. The government now proposed a series of measures. So one of them is that the number of days that people can be held in pre-deportation custody, it will be more days for authorities to have more time to prepare. With this new law, let's remember that it still needs to be approved by the Bundestag. Police will also have greater access to a person's accommodation, a phone, for them to make it easier to confirm their identity, to carry out the deportation. And possibly the most controversial proposal also that has been criticized by many organizations, that members of organized crime groups could be deported even if they have not been convicted of a crime, something that already occurs for members of terrorist groups. So there will be measures that apply here in Germany, but Chancellor Olaf Scholz has said that there are a bundle of measures, several measures that are needed to limit this irregular migration, and one of them is a better protection of the external borders, and that's something that Interior Minister Nancy Faeser also stressed with new deals when it comes to, for example, Czech Republic or Poland, but also a deal with Switzerland.
DW's Benjamin Alvarez-Gruber there. Now, as we just heard, the German government's plans to expedite deportations comes as there is a heated debate over total immigration numbers in the country. Political parties opposed to migration have been gaining ground in elections across Germany, even in places which have been benefiting from new arrivals, like in the town of Goslar in central Germany, where skilled workers are helping to provide vital public services.
In the small town of Goslar, the topic of migration is stirring emotions and dividing public opinion, even though migration has been working well. An example is Najib Sayed Ahmad. He fled war-torn Syria 9 years ago and is now the owner of a pharmacy.
I'm happy here and I feel comfortable. At first it was difficult, but then I got the feeling that there are people around me, a community that wants to help. The city has embraced me for the past 9 years.
The pharmacy's former owner gave Najib a helping hand, and he was happy to find a skilled successor.
This is integration in action. We need people to come here and work together with us and help keep our society running.
There are people with lots to offer. I'm talking on many levels. Doctors, engineers, carpenters and nurses. They are all immigrants. If you look closer at it, it's a win-win situation.
In 2015, many local Goslar citizens welcomed migrants into this rural area with its aging population and many vacant properties. But now, things are getting tense. More than 2,700 additional refugees have arrived since the war broke out in Ukraine.
It's getting worse with the immigrants, no matter their nationality.
It's very tense. There's a lot of complaining about the people who come here.
The voices calling for someone to really clamp down again here are of course getting louder the longer this goes on.
The small organization Goslar has been trying to foster diversity for more than 3 decades. Now, the far-right populist party, the Alternative for Germany, or AfD, holds a few seats in the local council. These refugee supporters still hold hope for integration.
We will grow through these debates. We want people in Goslar to learn how to live together with people from foreign countries, to realize that you have to get to know each other, to understand each other, and that you shouldn't let yourself get riled up.
Den anderen wirklich zu verstehen, dass man sich nicht aufheizen lässt.
Najib thinks populist narratives are being fueled by other problems, such as inflation.
You always want to blame it on something. Far-right parties have taken advantage of that recently. If anything happens, they point their fingers at refugees. But if these people sit and reflect, what have refugees done since coming here? There are success stories worth telling, lots of them.
Despite the challenges, many in Goslar are still striving for peaceful coexistence.
Now, as we just heard there, the German government's plans to expedite deportations comes amid a heated debate over total immigration numbers in the country. Many communities in Germany are already struggling to find housing for refugees, such as the ones who fled the war in Ukraine. DW's Tessa Walter went to see what kind of problems both the authorities and refugees face here in the German capital.
Здравствуйте.
Добрый день.
Да, как вас дела?
How are you? Fine. How nice that you found your way to us.
Было сложно, да, сюда
Очень
приехать?
сложно. Irina fled the war in Ukraine and now lives in state accommodation in Berlin. Here at the Complaints Office for Refugees, she gets help with her problems. As refugees, we don't know your laws. It is very difficult for us to understand and communicate. That's why an organization like this is so important. It is a great help for people like us. Oz is German with Turkish roots and has studied languages. Here at the Complaints Office, he can put them to good use. He hears about broken doors, slow internet. But as of recently, one complaint keeps coming up.
Dieser Platzmangel
There's a lack of space which creates problems between refugees. If you are stuck in a room with 5 people, there are clashes.
ja, steckt und da kommt es schon zu Ausschreitungen.
Here at the former Tegel airport in Berlin, refugees have been accommodated for 1.5 years. Space is scarce, as it is in many communities in Germany. In order to accommodate all the new arrivals, an extension is now being built. 3,000 new places, almost twice as many as before. An emergency solution.
We
need other accommodation that allows people to be alone in a closed room, to be between closed walls, closed doors.
Auch mal die Möglichkeit zu haben, für sich ganz alleine zu sein.
The refugees have to move together. Instead of 6 square meters, each person now only has 4.
A lot of people live, 14 people in rooms.
I'm very pleased. They're giving us a roof over our heads and a bed to sleep in. And they give us food. The Complaints Office helps every refugee in his or her mother tongue. In 60% of cases, Oz and his colleagues find a solution.
Wenn ich auch nicht geschafft habe zu helfen,
even if I didn't manage to help, at least I said hello to the person, listened to them and made them feel that I'm there.
dass ich da bin.
Around 200 cases are handled here per month. Irina is satisfied. Her problem with the authorities has been solved.